Commissioner McKinley, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Absolutely, Lauren. Good morning.
So, Commissioner, you have criticized the governor for that previous move, letting Publix be the sole distributor of this vaccine. What were your first thoughts when you found out that this was happening?
My main focus on the Publix rollout was a large portion of my district, all of the area surrounding the eastern shores of Lake Okeechobee. We call this community the Glades. There's not a single Publix located in this part of the county. It's the closest Publix is about 30 miles away. This is an area of the county that many don't have their own transportation, and there was an equity issue, and I didn't think it was fair, and I called the governor out on that.
And Commissioner, we've also seen plenty of people saying that they're not shopping at Publix anymore, even boycotting it for political reasons. But despite that, why is it so important for other people and other, entities to be able to distribute this vaccine?
Because when you put it in the hands of one entity, you're missing a portion of the population. As I mentioned, the areas in my district simply lack a Publix. There are other areas in Palm Beach County that have a Publix with no pharmacy. Of course, the pharmacy ones are the only ones rolling it out. That includes areas around Riviera Beach. All across Florida and many of our rural communities, there are no Publix stores. So I don't think that this is something that you can turn over to one partner and have them be responsible for all of the vaccines. I appreciate Publix involvement, like having them at the table, but they simply can't be the only option.
And now let's look at the solution to all of this. Did you have a hand in getting the governor to change course on this vaccine program? And can you tell us more about those changes that we could see?
I had a wonderful conversation, a couple of them last week actually, with Jared Moskowitz, who admitted to me on Friday. He said, it was just an oversight. Certainly wasn't any ill intent behind the decision. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. And I'm happy that Jared turned around and was able to fix this for the Glades community. I hope it sets a precedence and prevents other communities from having to go through the outrage that we went through last week. But being able to divert a certain portion of the vaccines from the Publix back to the local office of the Florida Department of Health, as well as our healthcare district, which we have in our county, was simply the right move to make. And like I said, I hope other communities don't have to experience the frustration that we had to experience last week.
And Commissioner, as we know and as data has shown us, people are still dying from this virus every single day, and people of color are disproportionately affected by this virus. So what should be done to make sure that vulnerable people, get access to this vaccine?
Well, the western communities of Palm Beach County are predominantly people of color, which was another reason for the outrage. In addition, it was one of our hot spots early in the spring. It's largely agricultural. So to not recognize that we needed to have additional partners, that it was a very frustrating week last week. But we have to put vaccines in easily accessible locations in our communities all across Florida. Black, brown, white, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that everybody is getting equitable access to the vaccines. We need our community leaders in our communities of color, to be rolling up their sleeves and getting the vaccines and assuring the rest of the community that these vaccines are safe. We're certainly starting to see a better interest in our Glades community of people finally going out and getting it when it's available. But 70% of the shots that have been given in Florida so far have been in predominantly white communities. We need to change that. Especially as you mentioned, when you see a disproportionate share of the deaths from COVID in our state have been people of color. something's not right, and we need to prevent that from happening, continuing to happen, and we need those vaccines in all of our communities.
Commissioner Melissa McKinley, thank you so much for joining us this morning.